Ladies and gentlemen, we are back once again. Premier League predictions for match week 13 is here. A massive weekend of action. Obviously, the biggest game being Liverpool and Manchester City, the two fighting at the top of the table. You know, the other team around the place as well, Arsenal playing West Ham. So a lot of exciting games to dive into from this weekend's action. Before we get into the predictions, we look back to last week's predictions. Haven't done well yet again. Only made 6 of our prediction points, taking our total to 80 now on the year after 12 game weeks. So slightly behind where I wanted to be, so looking to make up some points over the next few weeks or so. If you're new to the channel and you're wondering how the point system works, there's 3 points for the correct scoreline, 1 point for the correct result predicted, and obviously 0 points for neither. So looking for a strong, give us a double-digit point tally this weekend. I'm hoping with some very correct predictions. With that being said, guys, if you're new to the channel, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the Players Zone channel, and also press that post notification bell. Then let's get straight into our predictions for match week 13. Our first game is an all-South Coast affair. Brighton and Southampton is our first game for the weekend. Brighton obviously coming off now back-to-back wins, obviously beating Man City before the international break, and a very impressive 2-1 win last time out versus the Cherries at the Vitality. Strong performances and really strong midfield control and possession, which will have to be helped out in this game here. Baliba out with a suspension means likely Matt Vifa jumps into midfield, and a very important job for him to do in there. Really important that Brighton keep possession and keep Southampton penned in, and more importantly, not give away the ball easily to allow Southampton to counter-attack, which they did very, very well versus the Liverpool side. Also for the side, obviously, the attacking football has been the key for me. João Pedro was humongous in the last game out with some great ball movement, a goal, and a fantastic pass to set up the later goal in that game as well. He'll be pivotal yet again in the final third, linking up with likes of Karu Matoma and Danny Welbeck as well. Jorginho Ruto has been quiet in recent weeks, and expect him to have a big performance against Southampton this game here. Looking at the Saints, a much more improved performance versus Liverpool, 3-2 loss, however, and sort of being a symbol of their season where they're hurting themselves, playing out from the back. It was a mistake for the first goal. McCarthy coming off his line, rash to concede the second goal, and in the end of it, a poor challenge allows Liverpool to score that penalty with Mo Salah in the end. So really preventable mistakes they can fix up there, and that's sort of been the problem for them. Mistakes at the back and not enough goals going forward. Only 6 goals scored in the side's last 5 games, and haven't really been at it defensively enough to get enough points this season. They can get at this Brighton side, though, if they implement that same counter-attacking clinical edge like they showed versus Liverpool. This Brighton side can concede. No clean sheet in the last 5 games, so it's a very vulnerable backline that can be got at times with how many numbers they commit forward. For that, Brighton's attacking quality will be too much in this game here. Obviously, haven't lost in the last 5 encounters with Southampton, 3 wins and 2 draws. So the history shows us we should back Brighton in, especially at home, with what Hurts is performing and providing this side here. I just back him in to get the job done here. 4 goals to 1 for me, 2 good at home, Brighton, and they get another massive 3 points to keep themselves up in and around the top 4. We move to the Molineux, and Wolves and Bournemouth is our next game to be excited about here. A really entertaining game for the proper Premier League fans here in this one. Obviously, you've got Wolves, who are on a bit of an unbeaten run. 4 games on the bounce without a loss on the back of that 4-1 fantastic, dominating performance over Fulham. And it was all about the attacking football. That's been the theme of this season. If the defence can hold up, the attacking side of things, it'll operate. Cunha, fantastic yet again, 2 goals and an assist, and the side have scored 11 goals now in its last 5 games. So the attacking talent is there. If that midfield and defence can hold up, they're going to get a few more results like we saw last time out. I think a big role in this game once again goes to Strand Larsen as well as Mateus Cunha up top to get at this Cherries back line that is vulnerable at times. They were pieced apart by Brighton with some of the great midfield passing array. So as such, and a big role falls onto the shoulders of Gomez and Andre in that midfield, the deep lying players in there to play through the Bournemouth press and keep that ball as much as possible, like Brighton did last weekend to Bournemouth. I think Wolves at home with the back in their crowd there goes a long way to their performance. I think they start the game well, they keep a lot of possession, and they get the balls as often as they can to those forwards. Good things will happen for the side here. Looking at Bournemouth, obviously they come off the back of that 2-1 disappointing loss to Brighton at home last time. A bit of a shock for me. Normally very, very good at home. They do struggle on the road though, so it's really important they get off to a quick start here to try and eliminate some of that momentum that Wolves will carry over from that last game. The big news being Semenyo missing this game with a suspension, but the return of Ryan Christie. I think Cook and Christie in that midfield will have a massive role to control the pace of the game, control the momentum of the game, and not allow key stages like we saw with Brighton last time out, where Wolves can just maybe piece apart this Bournemouth side with their passing array. It's really important that those two protect the back four, which can be vulnerable at certain stages, which we've seen throughout the season. I think the outballs to Tavernier and Dango Ouattara on the break will be the key for Bournemouth this game here. If they can find those two out in the wide areas and stretch, which is a very attacking Wolves back five with the wing backs, it'll go a long way for them getting chances and hopefully finding the back of the net. I see a big entertaining game this one here, but I'm backing in Wolves to continue their great form. They've been great in front of goal. Defensively, they look better in recent weeks, so I'm backing them in here for a 3-1 win and to put more pressure on Bournemouth after back-to-back losses, I think. We're in South London for our next game here as Crystal Palace take on Newcastle United, with both teams desperately wanting a big win for both their respective seasons. Looking at Crystal Palace, a 2-2 draw last time out against Aston Villa. They showed some better signs moving forward, which is a sight for sore eyes in many regards. Devaney, fantastic in his second star of the year. Mateta and Sarr up top, a better connection, much more clinical and precise on the counter-attack, which they'll desperately need again in this game here versus Newcastle United. Only the 7 goals in their previous 5 games in all competitions, so goals have been the problem. Marc Guéhi's been in better form. Maxime Lacroix at the back as well has been much better. So defensively, they look okay. It's about going forward and finding the back of the net at a better consistency and refining that clinical edge, that pace and precision, I think is the important word in the final third, which I'll desperately need to beat this Newcastle United side. They obviously come off an equally poor showing, a 2-0 loss at home to a out-of-form West Ham, where they had a fair chunk of the ball but didn't really make much of it. And I feel like in this game here, Crystal Palace will definitely give the ball up to Newcastle United to look to try and get them on the counter-attack. So it's important that Newcastle was smart with their possession and don't try to force things or give the ball away to a very hungry Crystal Palace midfield who will want to get out in transition. I think Willock and Longstaff, they bring the intensity in midfield. Be looking for them to just be a little bit more precise in the final third and make the right read and right pass to try and get chances for the big two up top, which is Isaac and Gordon respectively. I think also Kelly and Shard centre-half have big roles. We know Crystal Palace will get chances in the counter-attack. How can these two centre-backs prevent them getting clear-cut opportunities? With that being said, I think Newcastle have to bounce back. It's going to be a very difficult game. Again, they're going to struggle, I think, in key moments with, but their talent will show over the 90 minutes. I've gone with a Newcastle hard-fought 2-1 win for me. Palace at home can cause some problems, but Newcastle, for me, have got the talent and they've got the players to get the win here. Nottingham Forest host Ipswich in our next game here. Nottingham Forest coming off the back now of 2 consecutive losses. They want to get back to winning ways and they want to get back to making the City ground a bit of a fortress. Really struggled at home so far this season. It's going to be a big game. Chris would, for me, like her to come back and be that central striker after not starting the previous game against Arsenal, where it was probably one of the weakest performances of the season. Didn't look good on the ball, didn't look good in transition, and they want to get back to their fundamentals in this game here. Ipswich are likely to sit in a little bit deeper, so I looked at Elliot Anderson to be brought back into the side for the injured Anthony Langard and trying to break down what can be at times a vulnerable Ipswich backline, but a much deeper line in many regards. So look to those more creative players, the incisive players, to try and break apart this Ipswich side. A big focus also in that midfield area, Ryan Yates, Dominguez, try and win the ball back, keep possession, and keep Ipswich penned in, which Manchester United did well for the opening half an hour versus Ipswich last time out, and not allow Ipswich easy out balls and those midfielders to gain control of the possession. Looking at Ipswich, they come off the back of that 1-1 draw versus Manchester United. They'll be kicking themselves. They've definitely wanted to get all 3 points in that game there. Multiple Onana saves deny them of that fact, but the performances have been much improved. We've got that win versus Tottenham in the game previous to that, and now unbeaten in their last 3 games. So the signs are there. For me, though, in this game here, you obviously look to the dangerous duo up top, Sammy Smodics alongside Delap up there. The clinical finishers are going to have to be at their best against a really dangerous and compact Nottingham Forest defence that gives away little to no chances. You have to be clinical at your best and not miss the chances if you get the opportunity in front of goal. They'll have massive roles to play and they want to be much more clinical than what they were versus Manchester United. With that being said, I think Nottingham Forest have to bounce back. The City ground will be bouncing in this game here. And I can see them getting over the line, led once again by Chris Wood. Going with a 2-0 Forest win for me. Ipswich have had a good run here, but I can't see them beating Nottingham Forest away from home. We move back to London for our next game as Brentford take on Leicester City. Brentford obviously the best team in the league at home this season. 5 wins from their 6 games. They've been absolutely fabulous. 9 goals scored in the last 5 games as well. The attacking talent is there, and equally so is their goalkeeper, Mark Flecken, who's ranked number 1 in the Premier League, averaging 5 saves per game. So there's quality at both ends of the park, and we know how much freedom they play with, especially at home with Mbermo Visser up top there, causing problems for all teams that have gone to the G-Tech this season. For me, I think it's about that constant pressure on the Leicester back line. Chelsea did it very, very well, penned Leicester in, and after repetitive efforts, this Leicester side has a mistake in them. Their back line isn't consistent enough, and gaps will open up like we saw last time out when Chelsea played Leicester. So it's really important that midfield and those forwards for Brentford keep the pressure on the Foxes, because eventually they'll crack and there'll be holes at plenty to score many goals. Obviously for Leicester, without Steve Cooper this weekend, they sacked him early in the week, and a new era has to start here for the Foxes. It's been an okay start of the season, but really inconsistent, and performance on the weekend was just straight up poor. They were not at the races, a lot of mistakes defensively, and they're going to have to be a bit more consistent throughout the full 90 minutes if they want to get any points against mediocre to upper table teams this season in the Premier League. With Bonanotte likely coming back, it'll be important for him to get heavily involved. He's been their major chance creator this season, and also Ndidi in midfield, alongside Samare as a deep line players. They're actually going to get the ball progressing forward, because Leicester a lot this season, been a lot of sideways possession, but not a lot of attacking output and attacking football, and as such, they've been penned in a lot by different teams and unable to get out of their own half in many regards. So more positive possession is going to be the key for Leicester, especially against a very attacking Brentford side that have liked to commit numbers forward at home, especially in recent weeks. They've had some good history in this fixture, Leicester City. 4 wins and 2 draws in the last 6 meetings versus Brentford, so they're unbeaten in the last 6 games. They want to continue that record here in this one here. Do I see it happening though? I don't think I do. I've got Brentford with their home form, their attacking talent, and the confidence they have under Thomas Frank to get a massive win here against a very shaky Leicester side. Backing in a 4-1 Brentford win, they like to batter teams at home, and I feel like Leicester could be on the wrong end of a tough loss here. We stay in London and move to the London Stadium as West Ham take on Arsenal in what will be a very entertaining one, this one here. West Ham needed that win last time out versus Newcastle United, and they got that. Much more consistent performance and much better balance between attack and defence, which is a really good sight to see for Lopetegui's men. Yes, it was a strong performance, but you have to back it up. And this game versus Arsenal, it's going to be difficult. The side's been better at home in recent weeks, unbeaten in the last 3 games at home, and they want to continue that trend with another positive performance and hopefully positive result here versus Arsenal. When you look at their side, it's about getting the ball into the creative players. Somerville, but also Jarrod Bowen in particular. He's created 5 big chances this season. He's the leading big chance creator for this side. Getting the ball as much as possible. We saw it last time out versus Newcastle United. Everything he touched seemed to turn to goal for them going forward. So feed the ball to Bowen, feed the ball to Somerville, utilise the width and utilise the counter-attacking style that can catch Arsenal out at times. Equally important, those tracking back defence. I think Somerville has to double up with Emerson to shut down Bukayo Saka, because we've seen since his return to the lineup, he's been the catalyst for Arsenal's turnaround of recent weeks. So really important you try and force Bukayo Saka as wide as possible and force him to play backwards rather than in between the lines and running at defenders. So really important role for Somerville, not only attacking wise but also defensively to help double up with Emerson. Looking at Arsenal, probably their 2 best performances of the season in the last 2 games. A fantastic clinical 3-0 win versus Forest, then 5-1 against Sporting on the road in the midweek in the Champions League. They're flying right now, and it's simply down to Ødegaard alongside Bukayo Saka. These 2 are the catalysts right now. It's an indicator of how well the side goes is how well these 2 players play, and in the last 2 games they've been pivotal. You need other performers around, obviously, to lift. I feel like once again, I look at that midfield, Marino, Partey, Rice, continue to be positive with your possession, get the ball moving forward. That is, I think, for me, the key, the litmus test for this side here. How progressive is the passing midfield? How aggressive is the midfield in terms of progressing the game forward and taking the game on? That's how far Arsenal will go. Because when they're poor, when they're dropping games and they're losing and drawing, the midfield is very pragmatic, slow, sideways. When they're winning games, when they're dominating teams like they were in the weekend, the ball moves forward. It moves with greater pace. The ball zings around the final third, and great things happen for Arsenal. So that's going to be the key in this one here. A big role for those in the midfield is to prevent the counter-attack that West Ham will want to implement. But with that being said, I think the confidence they've got with Bukayo Saka and Odegaard back and in some fantastic form. I only see one winner in this game here, and that is the Arsenal. Gone with a 2-0 hard-fought win. West Ham will make it difficult, but I think Arsenal will eventually break them down. And once the first goes in, the second won't be too far away. We remain in London. We move to Stamford Bridge for our next game as Chelsea take on Aston Villa in what is a massive clash towards the top end of the table. Chelsea very, very dominant in their win last time out versus Leicester City. It was 2-1, but they absolutely bossed it. It could have been 4 or 5-0 in that game with the amount of chances and the amount of control they had of that game. And control is a big word for me. I haven't seen it much in recent years, but we've seen it recently. The Chelsea midfield has just been so dominant in games and has allowed them to dictate the pace and the momentum of the game. Led by Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo in that midfield there. They absolutely boss that Leicester midfield around. And I feel like they could do the exact same thing here to a really out of form Aston Villa side. Really, really important for them winning the ball back, keeping control of the ball and progressing Chelsea forward and then freeing up those wide players. João Felix, Noni Madueke, Cole Palmer when he drifts out wide. That's where a lot of Chelsea chances come from. Midfield control and then spraying the ball out wide, playing with pace and intensity in the final third. And then it's just seen good things seem to happen. Nicholas Jackson's in great form up top. 3 goals in his last 5 Premier League games. The side has 12 goals in the last 5 games in all competitions. So they're just firing right now. And this Aston Villa back line, it hasn't been that great. Actually, the whole team hasn't been great. A team full of pedestrians, I think, in recent weeks. And they're going to need a change of fortune if they're going to get anything out of this game here. 3 goals in the last 5 games without a win in their last 7 games. It just looks like they're really, really flat this current point in time. It looks like someone's unplugged the side. The energy, the intensity has fallen away. You're looking to those guys up top, the creative players, Bailey, McGinn, Rogers, Watkins. They've got to stand up. And I think in this game here, you have to employ a bit of a pragmatic, defensively orientated system and try and get these type of players in behind the counter-attack, especially Watkins, especially Leon Bailey. Play them as your out balls, sit in deep, allow Chelsea possession, but then get at this back line that will commit numbers forward. They'll want to be in the front foot. They'll get overconfident at home, and that's when holes can open up on the break, and that's when you can possibly get some goals and find the back of the net and get some confidence in this side here. Do I think that will happen? No. I'm just not convinced this Aston Villa side right now. As I said, they look really flat. They look down. They look like they're just not energised at this current point in time. And I can't see them getting the better of this really attacking, well put together Chelsea unit. I've gone to Chelsea 3-0 win at home. Backed them in. I'm backing Palmer to find some form yet again. With the form Nicholas Jackson's in as well, I wouldn't bet against him for scoring yet again in this game here. We have another all-London affair as Spurs host Fulham. This one is going to be very entertaining. Spurs do the most Spursy thing possible, lose to Ipswich before the international break and then come back and batter City 4-0. Incredible the stats that you got about them. 2.3 average goals per game. They've got 13 goals in the last 5 games. They dismantled City at the Etihad. It's all pointing to another Spurs win, but you just never know with this side here. They've been ravaged with injuries at the back. Both the starting centre-halves are obviously injured. Vicari's out for a long period of time as well. So I feel like in this game, a lot of focus has to go into the fullbacks, Udogie and Pedro Porro, not only to facilitate the attacking football, but also be solid enough defensively against a very dangerous Fulham side that play with a lot of width at times as well. So they have big roles to protect the central core of the defence there for Tottenham Hotspur. But equally so, Maddison and Kulusevski, those two guys are superb. It feels like whenever Kulusevski plays well, Tottenham does play well. So they have a massive role to be heavily involved, key figures in the build-up play and the final product for Tottenham's attack to allow this attacking system that Ange loves to play to flourish, because they seem to be the cherry on top or the missing link for many regards. When they're both not playing well or one of them's not playing well, the whole Spurs attack falls apart. And you saw versus City, both of them were key figures. They were pivotal in the final third and the build-up play, and City just fell apart. So look to those two players to be at the heart of everything that Spurs do from the middle of the park onwards in many regards there. And look at Fulham. They also put together a classic Fulham performance, be unbeaten in the last 3 games, then get battered by Wolves 4-1 at home. You see them to bounce back. I expect them to bounce back. That's sort of what Fulham is. It's win a few, go on an unbeaten run for 3 or 4 games, then lose or draw 2. It's just sort of how they play their football. Marco Silva's side, they're always competitive in games. I think they'll travel to the Spurs stadium and make it a really competitive game. A big job, obviously, for the back four. Tete, Anderson, Bassey and Robertson. Can they keep Spurs out for as long as possible? Can they prevent this attacking team doing what they like? Do I back it in? I don't, but I can see them scoring on the other end as well. Alex Iwobi has been a superstar this season, created Fulham's most big chances with 5, scored a fantastic goal last time out. He'll be pivotal on the break and playing that final ball to potentially catch out this Spurs high line. For me, it's never been a draw between these two sides in the last 6 meetings, so I'm going to expect goals and I'm going to expect a result in this game here. What do I see happening? I see Spurs just nicking it for me. 3-2, entertainment fest for your Sunday afternoon, but I think Spurs carry on their good form with another big win here. We move back up north for our penultimate game of the weekend. Manchester United host Everton. Two teams, it's really hard to read at times. United looked good for the first half an hour in their 1-1 draw to Ipswich, but Andre Onana in the end saving the side with multiple saves. Ruben Amorim came out and said there's going to be a bit of teething process it's going to have to go through and suffer for a bit to allow the team to progress and understand the tactics, and I can definitely see that happening in this game here. United have struggled in the past to break down low blocks, and you 100% know that Everton are going to employ that low block at Old Trafford. So for Manchester United, you look to the creators, Alejandro Garnacho alongside Bruno Fernandes, or whether it be Mason Mount in those 2 number 10 spots in behind the striker. They're going to be pivotal in this game here. With the Ruben Amorim system, whenever those players got on the ball against Ipswich, it looked like United were flowing. They were creating things. The movement was much slicker and smoother in the final third. But once those sort of players in those 2 number 10 spots didn't get as much of the ball as the game grew older, United's attacking system all fell apart and Ipswich got on top in the game. So look to those players to be the key catalyst for Manchester United and their attacking football, especially against a very defensive Everton system. And it's about the ability to break down that team early. Especially at Old Trafford, the pressure builds on the players if you don't score in the first half, and often it can become a bit of a ping-pong game come the end of the game. That will play into Everton's hands. They'll want to sit in. They'll want to play that counter-attacking style like we saw in the most recent game versus Brentford, where they were unlucky not to get all 3 points. The attacking style of football has improved them recent weeks, but they still have only managed the 3 goals in the last 5 games. However, they've only conceded 2 goals in their last 5 games as well. So you can always bank on 0-0 results for these 2 sides here. But I do see both sides getting on the score sheet in this one here. For Everton to have a fighting chance, I think we're going to have to come down to that combination of Decore and Idrissa Gana game in midfield there. Can they fight? Can they make it a scrap in midfield? Can they force United's flow to be disrupted like Ipswich did very, very well? That'll go a long way with Everton to getting a result here, whether it be a win or a point in this one. Do I see the side winning this game? No. United have won all the last 5 games between these 2 sides, but I can't see them getting a win yet again. I've gone with a 1-1 draw. Everton have made a theme of it this season, getting draws. 0-0s more often than not, but I see them getting a goal here against this very attacking United side. However, I also see United not be able to score more than 1 goal against a very compact and defensive Everton unit. Our final game is the big one from the weekend. Manchester City travel to Anfield to face Liverpool. And this is going to be a blockbuster affair. Liverpool, top of the league, probably one of the best teams in Europe, coming off the back of beating Real Madrid 2-0 in the Champions League midweek. A great come-from-behind 3-2 win against Southampton last time out. The best defence in the league with 6 clean sheets. One of the best and most consistent attacking outputs with 13 goals in the last 5 games. It's all pointed to this side continuing their form. However, Man City, they come wanting to bounce back without a win in their last 6 games and desperately needing a performance to keep in the title race. I look at this game and look at the difference makers. It's going to be, for me, for Liverpool, getting at and in transition against this Man City side that looked horrible in transition in recent weeks. Feyenoord got the better of them in 15 minutes playing a transitional game, and in all their losses in recent weeks, they've been counter-attacked so easy. So that midfield area, McAllister and Gravenberch, is so important they win the ball back and get Liverpool going forward as quick as possible. I've said it recently in a lot of prediction videos, but Liverpool don't need a lot of possession to win games of football. They showed it versus Southampton. They can do it here to Man City. Allow City all the ball, but then those 2 hungry midfielders win the ball back, get the out ball to the likes of Diaz, Gakpo and Salah on the counter-attack, and that's night-night because those forwards have been so clinical in the final third, super dangerous, direct running, and they can go and phase in and out of games, but when they have their moment, they take it more often than not, and that's what's really going to be dangerous for Manchester City. They're obviously without a win in the last 6 games, only 6 goals scored in their last 5 games. They need a lot more from the likes of Phil Foden and Erling Haaland up top to be more involved, more clinical when they get their chances, and look a bit more energised. They're looking really flat in the forward areas and lacking that pace in their game. They showed it in the first of 60 minutes versus Feyenoord, but faded away as the game went on. And I think the biggest thing for Man City right now is that defence has lost its way. Obviously, without Rodri there, they're getting transitioned so easily. Rico Lewis is looking so unders in that midfield there. And I know they've just come back from injury, but Stones and Akanji have to lift in this game here. You've got a dangerous Salah, a dangerous Diaz, a dangerous Darwin Núñez up top alongside Cody Gakpo. You can't be sleepy. You can't make mistakes like we saw midweek versus Feyenoord. You have to be at it for minute 1, and they have to be much, much better in this game if City want any sort of chance here. Obviously, Pep has not won Anfield at all in his time in the Premier League. What a chance to go and change that right now with a big result here, because I feel like if they lose this game, you can kiss their chances of the Premier League title goodbye. I'm not convinced if they lose this game here. I think it's going to be competitive, but Arne Slot's side is just too composed, too controlled right now, and just too good for any side that faces them, despite the might of Manchester City. I'm backing Liverpool. I'm backing a 2-0 result here. They continue their great form, and they extend the lead to the top of the table for me. With that being said, ladies and gents, that brings my prediction for match week 13 to an end. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you agree with me? What are your predictions? Who are the big players and big factors this weekend? And also, what's your biggest game to come from the weekend's action? Obviously, the big one, the blockbuster one, being Liverpool and Man City. But is there another game that catches your eye? Let me know that in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, guys, please make sure to smash the like and subscribe to the Players Zone channel for more videos like these, and press that post notification bell so you know we upload here on the channel. A lot of videos coming up over Christmas, so be excited. Keep that post notification bell checked, because there's going to be a lot more coming as we run in towards Christmas here. With that being said, I hope you enjoy the weekend's Premier League action. I hope you enjoy all the football action coming from the weekend. Have a great week today, guys, and I'll see you after the video very, very soon. Till next time, guys. See you later.